70 Blyskawica, new Tier 10 Polish tank destroyer, is going to be the focus of today's video. But let's get one thing straight. For the rest of this video and any other video that I make about this tank, I will be referring to it as the Blyskawica. Why, you might ask? This tank's playstyle reminds me of the violence and brutality of the game Wolfenstein. This tank is meant to be played up close and personal, as the title of this video suggests. This tank is all about closing the distance, showing your teeth, venting your anger, and hopefully not getting tracked in the process. In this video, I'll be showcasing just how brutal the Tier 10 Blaskowicz tank destroyer can be when you're close to the enemy tanks in the front line. For all the replays I'll be showing in this video, I will only use one loadout because I don't have any of the field modifications unlocked yet. And also keep in mind that I don't even have my DPM maximized because I don't have the plus 3% DPM field modification added to my tank yet. Currently, I'm running second tier mobility improvement system, bounty rotation mechanism, bond rammer, and a premium consumable. With my current loadout, I have 10.32 seconds of reload time with a DPM that is north of 4,600. I have a top speed of 49 kilometers per hour and a power to weight ratio of 17. For now, I've chosen this loadout because I want to test out how this tank does in close quarters combat, so I have chosen to maximize my mobility with the one loadout option that I do have. Stay tuned to the end of this video and I will review what other equipment pieces you could potentially use on this tank to maximize its damage dealing potential. And I will also go over what many of you might consider to be a hot take loadout on this tank. Damage roll? We have only been battling with the enemy team for hill control for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and we're sitting at 4.7k damage already with 3.7k blocking. In the right situations, this tank is going to chew through heavy tanks as if they are appetizers. And also, the armor held up pretty well this round as we bounced everything that was shot at us, including the 340 heat round that the E5 shot at us earlier. else happens this round, aside from an epic snapshot on the 261 artillery at the end, we managed to get 5k damage this game and 1138 base experience. We end up being topped by both damage as well as experience, and we also managed to block over 3k damage in this round. But let's jump into the next battle where my armor doesn't really work out, and a stupid decision by me costs the win at the end of the game and leads to the game ending in a draw. I need this phase 1 to peek out just a little bit more. This T95 in that position is going to be very problematic for me. Those were some disgusting cupola snipes. Man, the tier 8 M3Y penned my cupola with aim. And you guys just saw how difficult it was for me to work this position with my awful gun arc, especially since the T95 was also poking the corner and I had to pay attention to him as well. I had to fall back at this point and play it safe. One of the biggest issues that I anticipate having with this tank is using its high DPM potential, because the platform of the tank can be quite difficult and awkward to work with. This is a bad spot to be in, because they have one line control. I want to fall back just a little bit more to get safe from the shooters in the one line. About cupola sniping me earlier? Is that why they're giving me these free shots? Yeah, I see him. This G-Sword thinks he can sneak up on me.
A few moments later.
Nice try, buddy. Nice try. Good save by the Progetto Heavy Tank on my team. I was not expecting that Vipera to be there, but fortunately for me, that tank's awful gun handling will allow me to get away scotch-free. Actually, I don't want to play outside this town area, just in case their grill is still on the 09 lines. I don't really know what to do here other than being careful and not losing any more of my HP, so I'm just going to be patient. Don't you dare high roll me. Don't do it. 12 HP. At least it's better than no HP. I got lucky he didn't roll high enough to take me out of this battle. By the way, he was shooting down at my frontal hull, which is why he easily penned me with standard APM. I was gonna try to flank from the outskirts of Ghost Town here, but unfortunately the T-95 spotted me, so I have to be a little bit patient now. If this Yag is pushing up to deal with that T-95, I will help him out. Whoa, didn't expect him to be there. Now that the T-95 is dealt with, and I know where all the other enemy tanks are playing, the 09 line should be clear. With my top speed of 49 kilometers per hour, I'm gonna go around the outskirts of Ghost Town and flank the enemy grill. This round, we do 6.3k damage along with 786 spotting distance, which puts us at a combined score of 7k. Not much else happens in this round. Basically, I try to find the leopard, but don't take into account the fact that the leopard is probably running away to deny my team the win. But by the time I realize it, it's already too late. And our tier 8 AMX is throwing shade at our team in chat, which pisses me off. And it pisses me off the most because of the fact that he's right. So I end the game by shooting him and ramming into him. There's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to show you guys a simple yet effective diagram to explain the mechanics of the NC70 Blaskowicz. The NC70 Blaskowicz. Do I think this tank is overpowered? No, not at all. I think it is a strong tank, but it is limited by its platform. This is the new DPM King in the game, but the problem is that the gun is attached to the hull, and the gun arc is awful. So it will take some getting used to. This tank, the main issue that I have with it is that it can be very awkward to use. And if you're just playing this tank solo, you can't just push to the front line, you have to be tactical and play with your team. Don't think that just because you have the highest DPM in this tank, you're going to push to the front and be a one-man army. This is certainly not the case. Essentially, I'm saying that this tank is not overpowered because of how awkward it can be to use. Unlike the Badger and the STRV, this tank sucks at mid-range and its DPM shrinks at longer ranges. And in general, it can be difficult to utilize its full DPM potential. Also, if you don't have a crew with a fully trained repair skill, you will just get tracked and it will be very easy to avoid your gun. When it comes to crew training, I would prioritize training the repair skill over the camo skill, even if this is ultimately a tank. Because largely, you will be trying to get close to the enemies with this tank. So camo is a lot less important for this tank than repairs. This tank does have decent armor when you are fully using its gun depression, but on flat grounds, most tier 10 tanks can go through your upper hull pretty easily, and even the lower plate is an easy target to shoot at. Most other tier 10 tank destroyers will shred your armor, even if you're using your gun depression. All they have to do is press the 2 key, and they will go through your armor. This tank only has 370 base view range, and aside from the field mod that gives view range, I wouldn't bother using optics on this tank. Your focus in this tank is getting as close as possible to the enemy tank. These are the reasons why this tank is not overpowered. Yet, it can be very strong and devastating if you play it in the correct situations. But do keep in mind that a platoon of these tanks is going to be lethal. So if you do see a platoon of these tanks, there's only one thing you do, and you fucking run for your dear life. You can only ever have 2 loadouts to choose from in game, but I will go ahead and review the different loadouts you could consider for your 2 loadout setups on this tank. The first equipment loadout I would have you all consider is the mobility loadout, which will maximize your top speed as well as your hull traverse speed. This loadout also includes a rammer to get your DPM over that 4,600 mark for the close quarters combat. This is the loadout you guys saw me use for these 3 games that I featured in this video. And this will be one of my permanent loadout options because this tank is really meant to be played up close and personal. And with how fast the games are these days, the mobility improvement system is vital for making sure that I can get to the damage in time. For the second loadout option, I would recommend hardening, rotation mechanism, and rammer. Hardening will help your tank with its repair speed and track health so that it is harder for your enemies to keep you tracked. I would argue that hardening is a must-have on this tank, even though I did not use it in today's games. I would keep the rotation mechanism because it does improve your gun stabilization as well as your hull traverse, and I think I would prefer rotation mechanism to mobility improvement system. But honestly, you guys could swap out the rotation rules for the mobility system if you wanted, but I would keep the hardening for this loadout. For a DPM loadout, you can use hardening, rammer, and vents. The maximum DPM you can have on this tank with bond equipment and rammer directive is going to be a whopping 4,963 damage per minute. That's right, it's 4,963 damage per minute, which is not even 5,000. But all joking aside, as a comparison, a damage per minute optimized Badger will have 4,800 DPM, and a maxed out STRV will have 4,735 DPM. A Hori 3, which you can also brawl with in close quarters if you need to, can have a maximum DPM of 3,850, which is a whopping 1,000 DPM less than the Blyskawica. A maxed out Hori 3, just to give you guys an idea, a maxed out Hori 3 has a 10.91 second reload time with 700 alpha, whereas the Blyskawica has a 9.67 second reload time with 800 alpha, which is just insane. But, and this is a really big but, you have to be very close to your enemies in order to maximize your DPM potential. This is why hardening is so important on this tank, specifically on this DPM loadout. This tank is mobile enough, so if you choose to take bond rammers and bond vents to max out your DPM, your third equipment choice has to be hardened to maximize your odds of surviving those quarters. Now, my choice for loadout number 4 is going to be a bit of a hot take. But this is a loadout I am personally going to test out in the near future. Loadout number 4 has no rammer. That's right, on loadout number 4 I am not going to be using a rammer. Instead, the focus of this loadout is going to be mobility and survivability. So you will equip hardening, mobility improvement system, and rotation. Before you give me flack for even suggesting this loadout, just hear me out. I don't think this will be a competitive loadout, but I think it will certainly be a viable loadout for pods. Just think about it. Without a rammer, this tank still has 4k DPM if you have the DPM field modification, you have Brothers in Arms, and if you are running a premium consumer. A loadout like this in low tier matchmaking will be devastating. This tank, in general, will be devastating in low tier matchmaking. Also, with this loadout, you still have 11.93 seconds of reload time for 800 alpha damage, which is still faster than any of the other higher alpha damage tanks at tier 10. So at the very least, this loadout is worth experimenting with, and it is certainly something that I will be trying out on my own. But that's all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I will let this game play out to its end, and I will catch you guys on